Empowered surrender at Mount Kilimanjaro. This is not a keynote. This is a portal. Why altitude resets your leadership nervous system for the next economy. At altitude, nothing works linear. The economy now is at altitude, and so are you. I'm grateful we share this time together today, and I respect the commitment you've made to be here. This is why I promised you something more valuable than time. Clarity, energy, and the remembering of how it feels like to lead from coherence, not contraction, and into your next level of leadership and organizational impact. You're not just building businesses. You're holding tension between innovation and responsibility, between people, payrolls, visions, and doubts, often all at once. You feel the shift. The economy is moving in spirals, not straight lines. And nobody's handing out a playbook. What we still don't know is this. How do we lead inside this kind of ambiguity while staying regulated ourselves? How do we stay coherent when strategy fails and systems glitch? The worst thing you can do? Executing the 5-year plan as if the terrain hasn't changed. If your nervous system is still wired for speed, clarity, control, you won't hold what's next. Here's the truth. The next economy will not be built by those with the best tech. This goes way deeper than AI. This is about the architecture of who is leading. And you are here because something inside you already knows. There is something beyond what you can put into words. So, take a moment. Where in your business are you still pretending the terrain hasn't changed? Now, what do Mount Kilimanjaro, entrepreneurship, and your nervous system have in common? They all demand that we pace, adapt, and regulate in real time, because at altitude, in business and in life, it's your internal state that determines how far you can go. And it all connects to your nervous system adaptability. If you can stay regulated, perceptive, and responsive in the face of pressure and uncertainty, you can sense reality faster than competitors, make aligned and coherent decisions under pressure, and lead your teams through nonlinear change without burning anyone out. It's the internal operating system that allows leaders to navigate the external shift into a new economy. Without that adaptability, even the best strategy collapses under volatility. Ignoring your energetic architecture is ignoring the very infrastructure your company runs on. What I want to share with you today is this. First, why the expedition to Mount Kilimanjaro isn't about hiking. It's about the fastest and most direct way of neurological recalibration at altitude, where the mind quiets and the real system speaks. For clarity, calm, presence-led leadership. I want you to join me on this journey. And if you stay with me until the end, I will reveal one of the best-kept secrets in modern leadership. Now, imagine standing on the roof of Africa at almost 6,000 meters. The air is thin, every breath is deliberate. Wind cuts through your skin like truth, your body is working hard, but your mind is crystal clear. Kilimanjaro isn't just a mountain. It is a mirror revealing exactly who you are when there's nowhere to hide and nothing to hold on to but your own alignment and commitment. And here's the thing. The way you climb is the way you lead. In the next 20 minutes, I'll walk you through 3 essential shifts that determine whether your leadership thrives or burns out in disguise. First, from thinking to sensing, why your body holds your next breakthrough, not your brain. Second, from pressure to presence, the one inner shift that expands your capacity for complexity. And third, and actually, this is my favorite one, from either or to and. Why paradox consciousness is your real superpower and how Kilimanjaro makes it real at sea level. This is not theory or mindset talk. It's strategy embodied. It's applied science for entrepreneurs shaping the next spiral of economy. Right now, leaders are under pressure more than ever before to perform, to pivot, to inspire into the unknown. Sounds familiar? The ones who thrive are not the ones with the most answers, but the ones with the clearest internal compass and presence. You're one of them. Then this voyage is for you, who is not longer satisfied with surface upgrades like a new app on the phone. You want another operating system. Mount Kilimanjaro is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. No shortcuts, no detour, but it elevates how you make decisions, lead teams, and design your next phase. My name is Sandra Weber. I'm the founder of Ad Astra Spiral Solution, a coherent architecture for leaders ready to build from presence. In the last 20 years, I founded and led 3 businesses in event management, coaching and training, and organizational development. I've worked across sectors and industries in consulting, aviation, education, startups, and sovereign entrepreneurship. I'm trained in spiral dynamics, systemic architecture, applied quantum physics, and coherence design. I've walked beside leaders in boardrooms, crisis rooms, and high-altitude trails. But more important, I didn't learn this in theory. I burned out. I rebuilt. I walked through collapse and fire, literally, and I kept walking. Kilimanjaro was where it all integrated, where I stopped being the expert and became the embodiment. It was a cellular reset, and I understood leadership isn't about tools. It's about coherence. It is not about how loud you speak. It's about the signal you transmit when you say nothing at all. And the leaders who've walked with me, they don't return motivated. They return structurally recalibrated. Here's what to expect. Not death by PowerPoint, but stories. Not formulas, but frameworks. Not inspiration, but integration. And if something in you stirs, a quiet knowing in your chest, don't override it. That's not doubt. That's your future self. And today, you're not just listening. You're choosing whether to take the first step towards yourself. So, shall we begin? Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed the sharper your mind gets, the more tired you feel? Strategy stacks higher, sleep drops slower. Your team grows, but your trust thins. Meetings fill the calendar, but presence vanishes. You're not burned out. You're leading from an operating system that's no longer designed for the world you're in. And that's not your fault. You were trained to lead from strategy, but in a complexity-based economy, strategy without regulation collapses. What's actually needed now is a state change, not another idea, but access to the part of you that can still sense clearly, even in the fog. You can't think your way to altitude. Your body has to be the one to arrive. The nervous system isn't a side node to leadership, it's a leadership interface. When your vagus nerve is strained, your lens narrows. When cortisol is high, even a calendar invite feels like a threat. When adrenaline spikes, creativity disappears and control takes over. And here's the truth, no KPI can measure. Your team responds to your state, not your words. Before you speak, your nervous system has already spoken. So presence, it's not charisma, it's coherence, and coherence is biological. This is why most culture work fails, because if the body isn't safe, the vision can't land. And that's exactly why we go to Kilimanjaro, because you cannot think your way to the summit. You cannot strategize the altitude. You cannot control the cold. You can only be. It is in this embodied self-awareness where true presence is born, where you stop fighting reality and start living it. Our team gathers at Machami Gate. The body is still strong and in performance mode. The ego still confident. And your mind races with to-do lists and expectations. But the forest knows. We are not in control here. And with every step you realize more, it is not about power, it's about presence. As you move slowly through the rainforest, you begin to hear your breath. You feel the humidity in the air and on your skin. Smell the damp moss, trees rise beyond visibility. This is the zone of sensation. The body leads, the brain follows. Strategies dissolve and the signal begins. In business, leaders often try to map the entire terrain before they even take the first step. But in the new economy, visibility is short. You have to learn to lead through fog. The rainforest teaches. Coherence starts with calming your system, not controlling the path. In short, presence is not a vibe. It's a physiological skill, and it begins with a nervous system that feels safe enough to arrive fully. Before we continue the ascent, let's drop into the body, not just with insights, but with rhythm. And let's do a short exercise together. This is also part of our breath preparation for altitude, and it comes from the Navy SEALs. It's one of the most efficient practices for activation, calm focus under pressure. We'll do now a simplified version in 2 rounds, and I first walk you through how it goes. So you focus on your breath. Let your clarity land through rhythm, not your thought. Inhale slowly through your nose. Continue to 3 in your head. Hold your breath for a count of 3. Exhale slowly through your nose or mouth, counting to 3. Let's begin. Good. If this part already shifted your breath, part 2 will shift your business. Let's go deeper and higher and continue the ascent into the moorland. Let's question something most leaders would never ever say out loud. What if your leadership style is just your nervous system on autopilot? You've outgrown old strategies, but your system hasn't caught up. That's the real bottleneck, not your intelligence, not your ambition. It is your biology. Real leadership isn't thinking faster, it's regulating deeper. It's leading not from adrenaline or fear, but from embodied clarity. Your body isn't a sidekick, it's your headquarters. Every real decision gets made long before your mind catches up. Let that sink in. And let's get honest. Most leaders today are chemically overdrafted. Inbox, instant cortisol trigger. Launches, spike adrenaline. Fundraising, crashes dopamine. Micromanagement, vagus nerves overload. Scarcity loops running under $1 million businesses. This isn't leadership. It is survival theater wearing a suit and running quarterly review. We think we are in control, but really, we are being chemically run by cortisol that rises in anxiety. Micro decisions are made, followed by energy crashes, and it's triggered by email overload and lack of control. Adrenaline kicks in when we need constant hyperfocus. We become aggressive, and even when it is only on the inner, and we feel burned out. The pressure to perform and the fear of failing accelerates the downward spiral. Now, compare this to a reviled leader on Kilimanjaro. You rise above the tree line into the moorland. The path opens, but so does exposure. You move from moisture to stillness, from noise to silence, from a group of individuals into an organism. Even heart rates begin to synchronize. Presence stops being personal. It becomes relational. This is the nervous system entrainment, where your system stops trying to lead and starts listening. Here, the ego dissolves. The mountain doesn't care about your title, your position, or your revenue. Only the next breath matters. Only the next step counts. Do you surrender and let nature take over? At Lava Tower, you go higher on purpose, only to descend again. This is not a detour. It's how the body adapts without panic. Strategic resilience, built through deliberate descent. At Barranco Wall, you face the vertical. Each step becomes a meditation. Presence is not optional, it's the requirement. And it's here, in this stripped-back simplicity, that your neurobiology begins to recalibrate. Dopamine rises not from achievement, but from rhythm. That quiet click of progress that says you're on the path. Serotonin builds because shared silence is the new safety. Not being the strongest, just being real. Oxytocin flows not through words, but through synchronized effort. You breathe as one. You belong. Endorphins rise, laughter around the mass tent. the lightness after effort. Resilience becomes embodied, not performed. Testosterone even finds a new purpose, not to dominate, but to claim space. You lead not by force, but by presence. And this is not a metaphor. This is chemistry. You're not doing transformation. You are becoming someone new through experience at the cellular level. This is not weakness. This is empowered surrender. The intelligence to stop overriding the system and start listening to it. And when you do, something remarkable happens. You begin to hold superposition as a leader. Uncertainty and clarity, vision and humility, stillness and drive. Because it is much more intelligent to lead from above the clouds. At Karanga camp, you reflect and realize you've now been lifted out of the noise of your old world. New climate, new altitude, new culture. Fewer distractions, but deeper processing. And the mountain becomes your mirror, a field of truth that shows you not who you should be, but who you are already beneath the noise. And every day becomes a choice. What will you let go of? What are you willing to carry, and what are you finally ready to set down? This is the real architecture of leadership, from survival to expansion, from urgency to rhythm, from control to empowered surrender. Empowered surrender is not collapse. It's the capacity to let go, to trust process, to navigate complexity without tightening. This is the new baseline of your strategy. Take a moment now to reflect and focus on what comes up immediately, and then decide what is the one initiative that is draining your system. Kill it. Which is the one ritual that brings you back into coherence? Keep it. In short, you don't need more information. You need repatterning. You don't need more tactics. You need a nervous system that can hold superposition, clarity, and not knowing. Your future isn't limited to what you know, but what your body can hold. And in part 3, which is actually my favorite one, we enter the summit night, where capacity is built through stillness and intensity. And why paradox consciousness is your real superpower, and why and how Kilimanjaro makes it real at sea level. Kilimanjaro is not just a mountain. It is a threshold, a place where the ancient laws of nature, breath, rhythm, gravity reclaim you. Where biology strips away the noise and the soul takes the lead into coherence. Not through force, not through concept, through surrender. Because the real questions, the one success could never answer, are simple. Who am I? Why am I here? At almost 6,000 meters, when your mind can no longer spin old story, when the air demands surrender, the false falls away. Titles, expectations, old defenses, until only the essential remains. I didn't create this journey because it's beautiful, although it is. I created it because I walked through it first. I stood at the edge of who I thought I was. I felt the terrifying beauty of letting go and surrender into the unknown. And it was there, high above the world's noise, something ancient returns. I am not here to prove. I'm here to bridge. To bridge you back to find the portal within yourself and into the most kept secrets in modern leadership. Imagine standing there, the sky stretching wider than you thought. The cold no longer resisted, the rhythm of your heartbeat, remembering what you signed up for in this lifetime. You're no longer climbing to conquer a summit. You're climbing to meet yourself. And when you do, you don't just think differently, you become different. You receive an upgrade, non-reversible. But the transformation isn't sealed at the summit. It's sealed in the life you live afterward. Because Kilimanjaro doesn't just give you a peak experience. It gifts you a new operating system that is embodied. A nervous system that remembers even when your mind forgets. You bring the mountain home, into your meetings, into your decisions, into your leadership. And from that time onwards, you don't walk alone. This is a shared threshold. Something deeper forms, a resonance field, not a network, a circle of post-ego allies who've seen you at your edge and still stood beside you. The field, what walks with you, across boardrooms, across storms, across everything you still don't know and is still to come. Most transformation projects fade. Not because they weren't real, but because there was no container for integration. That's why this isn't a one-off. It's a 9-month leadership passage. It starts 6 months before the climb with a one-on-one coaching for deep intent and monthly team meetings that hold preparation in every field that is necessary to hike, like physical, mental, and nervous system preparation, breath work, and embodiment practices. And when we meet at Kilimanjaro Airport in July, we're already a team, and the expedition gets real. There's not only the physical challenge, but a spiritual recalibration also. Your brain's default mode network dissolves and lets your soul speak. Maybe for your first time, you experience with strangers a deep group coherence, and you sense the cellular upgrade. The coming 3 months after the return, we integrate together in life coaching, group reflection, anchoring truth applied to business, relationship, and presence. And this is not a retreat. It's a rewiring. Kilimanjaro is not a challenge. It's a remembering, a crossing, and a return. And when you descend, what you bring home is a regulated nervous system, a witnessed soul, a presence that doesn't need to perform. So, this isn't about conquering a summit. It's about walking differently forever. You don't need to become more. You shed what you're not. And if your body is whispering yes, you have already begun. Right now, You stand at a threshold between two versions of yourself, the one who keeps chasing, surviving, and striving, and the one who has remembered you are already enough. The only question left is, will you live from the old operating system or step into the new field that is already calling you? If you feel the call, trust it. We are ready for you. And something inside you is ready too. Thank you. Thank you for the courage it takes to even ask, who am I beyond survival? Thank you for what you've built in the world, and even more. Thank you for who you are daring to become. See you at the summit.